"Mommy, I said sorry!" My 5-year-old daughter Emma cried out, her voice filled with confusion and fear. Bang! Karen pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet struck my baby's shoulder. Blood spread everywhere across her pink butterfly dress. Emma screamed in agony, "Daddy, it hurts so much, make it stop!" Karen stood there cold and emotionless, still holding the smoking gun in her hand. "Her ball touched my driveway," she said flatly. "She broke the rules of this neighborhood." 3 minutes later, a SWAT team surrounded Karen Mitchell and arrested her at gunpoint. But before I share the complete story of what happened that terrible day, please take a moment to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Also, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories like this one. The sun was shining beautifully bright that Saturday morning. Birds were singing their cheerful songs in the trees that lined our quiet suburban street. My 5-year-old daughter, Emma, was wearing her absolute favorite pink dress, the one with purple and blue butterflies embroidered all over it. She looked like a little angel when she wore that dress. "Daddy, can I draw with my chalk on our driveway today?" Emma asked me, looking up with those big brown eyes that could melt any father's heart. "Of course, sweetheart," I said, bending down to kiss her forehead gently. "Just make sure you stay on our driveway, okay? Don't go into the street or onto anyone else's property." "I promise, Daddy," she said with a bright smile. She ran outside with her box of colorful sidewalk chalks, already planning what beautiful pictures she would create. I watched her from the kitchen window, a warm smile on my face. She was drawing a rainbow first, taking her time with each color. Then she drew our family, me, her mother Sarah, and herself, all holding hands. My heart felt so incredibly full of love in that moment. My wife, Sarah, was at the grocery store picking up supplies for the week. It was such a peaceful, ordinary morning. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat down to check some work emails on my laptop. I could hear Emma singing outside, making up little songs as she drew. Everything felt absolutely perfect in the world. But I didn't know that in just 3 short minutes, my whole world would completely fall apart. I didn't know that Karen Mitchell, our HOA president, was watching my innocent daughter with cold, cruel eyes and planning something unthinkable. Karen Mitchell lived just 2 houses down from us on the same street. She was the president of our neighborhood homeowners association, and everyone in the community genuinely feared her. She had gray hair that she pulled back so tight into a bun that it looked physically painful. Her face always seemed to be twisted into an expression of anger or disapproval. Her eyes were cold like ice. There was no warmth, no kindness, no humanity in them. For 2 solid years, Karen had made our lives an absolute living hell. She sent us violation notices for absolutely everything imaginable. Our grass was 1 inch too tall according to her measurements. Our mailbox was painted the wrong shade of color according to her interpretation of the rules. Our Christmas lights stayed up 2 days longer than the HOA guidelines supposedly allowed. She fined us hundreds and hundreds of dollars for the smallest, most insignificant things you could imagine. But we always paid those fines without complaint. We always followed her ridiculous rules to the letter. We never fought back or challenged her authority because we simply didn't want any trouble with this woman. Last month, Karen saw Emma playing innocently with her toys on our front lawn. She marched over to our property and actually yelled at my 4-year-old daughter. "This is not a playground!" Karen screamed at her. "This neighborhood has standards to maintain. Your parents need to control you better." Emma cried for hours after that incident. She couldn't understand why the mean lady was so angry at her for just playing. I filed a formal complaint with the HOA board about Karen's behavior toward my child. Still, Karen was the president of that board. She controlled everything and everyone. Nothing happened. My complaint was dismissed. "She's just a bitter old woman," Sarah told me, trying to calm me down. "Just ignore her, and she'll leave us alone eventually." But I saw something truly dangerous in Karen's eyes whenever she looked at our family. Something broken inside her. Something evil that went beyond just being a difficult neighbor. I was pouring myself a second cup of coffee when I heard Karen's voice outside. It was loud and absolutely filled with rage. A rage that seemed way out of proportion to anything that could have happened. "You stupid little brat," Karen was screaming. "What did I tell you about keeping this neighborhood clean and following the rules?" My blood ran cold instantly. I dropped my coffee cup without thinking. It shattered on the kitchen floor, coffee and ceramic pieces spreading everywhere. But I didn't care. I ran toward the front door as fast as I could. Karen was standing over Emma in our driveway. My little girl was crying, tears streaming down her face. Karen was holding Emma's box of sidewalk chalks in her hand, gripping them tightly. "This is HOA common property," Karen screamed at my 5-year-old. "You're vandalizing the neighborhood with this garbage." I'm sorry, Emma sobbed, her voice shaking with fear. "Daddy said I could draw on our driveway. I didn't know I was doing something wrong." "Your driveway?" Karen laughed cruelly. "Nothing belongs to you people. I'm on the HOA board and I say no chalk anywhere in this neighborhood, period." Karen threw the chalk box hard. It hit Emma directly in the face. Emma screamed and fell backward onto the concrete, hitting her head. I ran outside, my heart pounding. "Get away from my daughter right now!" I shouted. Karen's face turned bright red with even more anger. "Your daughter is destroying property values in this entire community," she screamed back. "I'm filing a formal violation against your family. You'll pay a $5,000 fine for this." "She's 5 years old," I said, trying to control my anger as I picked up Emma and checked her face. "She's drawing pictures on our own driveway with chalk. It washes away with rain." Her cheek was red where the chalk box had struck her. I could see it was going to bruise. "This neighborhood has rules!" Karen shouted, pointing her finger at me. "Rules you clearly don't care about following. People like you don't belong in a community like this." "Go home, Karen," I said firmly, holding my crying daughter close. "Go home right now before I call the police and report you for assaulting a child." Karen's eyes turned into thin, hateful slits. "You're threatening me." "Me?" she said in a low, dangerous voice. "I'll make you regret this threat. I'll make your whole family regret ever moving into this neighborhood." She turned and walked away, heading back toward her house. But as she walked, I saw her touch something underneath her cardigan sweater. My stomach felt sick with a terrible realization. Did she have a weapon hidden under there? I carried Emma inside our house immediately. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Sarah came home from the grocery store 20 minutes later, and we both comforted our baby girl together. We put ice on her bruised cheek and held her until she finally calmed down. "We need to move away from here," Sarah said quietly that night after Emma was asleep. "That woman is genuinely dangerous. We can't keep living next to her." "We can't afford to move right now," I said, feeling helpless and frustrated. "We just bought this house 8 months ago. We're completely stuck here financially." But I should have listened to my wife's instincts. I should have found a way to take my family and leave that neighborhood that very day. Because Karen Mitchell was more than just dangerous. She was a monster waiting for any excuse to strike. 2 weeks passed slowly. Emma became scared to play outside at all. She had terrible nightmares about the mean lady almost every night. We talked to several lawyers about our options. Still, they all said HOA cases take years to resolve through the legal system, and they're very expensive. Then came that terrible Tuesday afternoon that would change everything forever. I was working from home that day, sitting at my computer, handling some business matters. Sarah was at her office downtown. Emma came to me with her little backpack on. "Daddy, can I get my ball from the garage?" she asked politely. "I want to play outside for a little while." "Sure, baby," I said, looking up from my computer. "But please stay in our yard, okay? Don't go near that mean lady's house." "Okay, I will, Daddy, I promise," she said seriously. She ran outside, and I watched from the window as she got her pink rubber ball from the garage. She started bouncing it carefully on our driveway, being so careful to stay exactly on our property, just like I'd told her to. I went back to my computer work for just 3 minutes. 3 short minutes that destroyed our lives forever. Then I heard a sound that will haunt me for the rest of my life, a loud crack that made my ears ring. Then my daughter was screaming in absolute agony. I ran outside so fast I almost fell down our front steps. What I saw made my heart completely stop beating for a moment. Emma was lying on the ground in our driveway. Blood was spreading rapidly across her beautiful pink butterfly dress. She was screaming and crying, her little hands clutching desperately at her shoulder. The pain in her voice was something no parent should ever have to hear. Karen Mitchell was standing in her own driveway just 30 feet away. She was holding a gun in her hand, a silver pistol. Smoke was still coming from the barrel. "I warned you," Karen screamed at us, her voice cold and emotionless. "I warned your family multiple times, but you wouldn't listen to the rules." Time seemed to slow down and stop completely. I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't think clearly. My baby was bleeding. My precious baby girl had been shot. I ran to Emma and dropped to my knees beside her. "Baby, Daddy's here," I said, my voice breaking. "Daddy's here now. You're going to be okay." "It hurts, Daddy," Emma cried, her face twisted in terrible pain. "It hurts so much. Make it stop. Please make it stop." Blood was everywhere, so much blood for such a small body. I pressed my hands against her shoulder, trying desperately to stop the bleeding. Emma was screaming. I was screaming for help. "Someone call 911, I shouted as loud as I could. "Someone please help us. My daughter's been shot." Neighbors came running from their houses all up and down the street. Mrs. Peterson from across the street immediately called 911 with shaking hands. Mr. Johnson, our neighbor from next door, ran over with towels from his house. "Hang on, Emma," I begged her, pressing the towels against her wound. "Hang on, baby girl. Help is coming." Her blood soaked through the towels almost immediately. There was so much blood. "You're going to be okay," I kept repeating like a prayer. "I promise you're going to be okay, sweetheart." Emma's eyes were getting heavy, starting to close. "Daddy, I'm so tired," she whispered. "No, no, no," I said frantically. "Stay awake, Emma. Please stay with Daddy. Keep your eyes open and look at me. Please stay with Daddy." Karen was still standing there with the gun in her hand. She looked completely calm, like she had done absolutely nothing wrong. "She deserved it," Karen said coldly, her voice void of any emotion. "That ball bounced onto my driveway. I told you people repeatedly to follow the neighborhood rules. This is what happens when you don't listen. I wanted to kill her right then. I wanted to jump up and tear her apart with my bare hands for what she'd done to my innocent child. But I couldn't leave my daughter's side. I couldn't let go of Emma for even a second." Mr. Johnson stepped in front of me, positioning himself between me and Karen. "Stay with your daughter," he said quietly, his own voice shaking with rage and shock. "I'll handle this situation." "Her ball bounced 1 inch onto my property," Karen yelled, still holding the gun. "This neighborhood has rules that must be followed." "You shot a child," Mr. Johnson said, his voice filled with disbelief. "You shot a 5-year-old child. You're a monster." "I was defending my property rights," Karen said. "Stand your ground laws protect me. She was trespassing." Karen actually pointed the gun at Mr. Johnson when he took a step toward her. That's when we all heard the sirens approaching. Police cars came racing down our street from both directions. Ambulances followed close behind them. Paramedics ran over to us immediately. They gently took Emma from my arms, and I didn't want to let go of her. "Sir, we need to help her right now," a paramedic said to me gently but firmly. "Please let us do our job. We're going to take good care of her." They carefully placed Emma on a stretcher. She looked so pale, so incredibly small. She looked like a broken doll lying there. "Daddy, don't leave me," Emma cried weakly. "Please don't leave me alone." "I'm right here, baby," I said, climbing into the ambulance with her. "I'm coming with you. I'm not leaving your side." A paramedic was putting pressure on Emma's wound while another started an IV line in her tiny arm. "A bullet went through her shoulder," one paramedic said to the other. "She's lucky. 2 inches lower and it would have hit her heart directly." Lucky. They called my year-old daughter who'd just been shot lucky. I suppose in the worst way possible she was lucky to be alive at all. I called Sarah with hands shaking so badly that I could barely hold my phone. "Sarah," I said, my voice breaking completely, "Emma's been shot. We're going to Memorial Hospital right now. Karen shot her." "Oh God, Sarah, there's so much blood everywhere," Sarah screamed on the other end of the line. I heard her car start immediately in the background. "I'm coming," she said. "I'm coming right now. Tell Emma that Mommy loves her. Tell her to stay strong for me." "Emma, Mommy loves you," I told her, tears streaming down my face. "Mommy's coming to see you right now." Emma's eyes were closing again. "I love Mommy," she whispered. "I love you, Daddy. I'm sorry I played with my ball. I didn't mean to let it bounce." "This is not your fault." I was crying so hard I could barely see her face. "You did absolutely nothing wrong. Nothing at all." "The lady was so angry at me," Emma whispered, her voice getting weaker. "I said sorry to her, but she shot me anyway." My heart broke into a million pieces hearing those words. My innocent baby girl had apologized to the person who shot her. She actually thought it was somehow her fault that this happened. The ambulance raced through red lights, sirens blaring constantly. Emma kept drifting in and out of consciousness. "Stay with me, Emma," I begged. "Talk to me, baby. Tell me what you want to draw next time." "Tell me the princess story," she whispered, her voice barely audible now. Even dying, my daughter wanted me to tell her favorite bedtime story. I held her tiny hand and started talking, my voice breaking with every word. Tears ran down my face and fell onto her hospital blanket. "Once upon a time," I began, "there was a brave princess named Emma. She was the bravest, strongest, most beautiful princess in the whole entire world." They rushed Emma into surgery the moment we arrived at Memorial Hospital. Doctors and nurses surrounded her immediately, moving with practiced urgency. They pushed me away from the gurney. "Sir, you need to wait outside," a nurse said firmly. "We'll do everything we can for her." "That's my daughter," I said desperately. "That's my baby girl. Please save her." "We're going to save her," the nurse said with compassion in her eyes. "But you need to let us work right now." They took Emma through a set of double doors. The doors closed behind them with a final sound. I collapsed against the wall in that hallway, sliding down until I was sitting on the floor. My hands were completely covered in Emma's blood. My shirt was soaked with it. I couldn't stop shaking, couldn't stop seeing her face twisted in pain. Sarah arrived 10 minutes later. She ran through the hospital doors, screaming Emma's name over and over. When she saw me sitting there covered in blood, she collapsed to her knees. "No, no, no, no," Sarah sobbed. "Not our baby. Please, God, not our precious baby." I caught her and pulled her close. We held each other in that hospital hallway, crying like we had never cried before in our entire lives. "She's in surgery right now," I told Sarah, my voice hollow. "The bullet went through her shoulder. They said she might be okay." "Might?" Sarah looked at me with devastated, terrified eyes. "What do you mean, might?" We had no real answers. We could only wait and pray. Every second felt like an entire year. Hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. We sat in the waiting room, our clothes still covered in blood. Other families in the waiting room stared at us, then quickly looked away. A police officer came to take my statement about what happened. His name was Officer Rodriguez, and he looked genuinely angry about what had occurred. "Tell me everything," he said, pulling out a notebook. I told him the complete story, about Karen's harassment over the past 2 years, about her threats against our family, about how Emma's ball had bounced slightly onto Karen's driveway, about the gunshot without any warning. "Karen Mitchell," Officer Rodriguez said, his face going dark with anger. "That woman actually called 911 herself after shooting your daughter. She claimed she was defending her property from trespassers. She said Emma was destroying her property value." "She's 5 years old!" Sarah screamed. "What property damage could a 5-year-old possibly do? She had a bouncing ball." "Ma'am, I know," Officer Rodriguez said. "Trust me, I know how insane this is. We have Karen in custody right now. We're building a strong case against her, but I need you to know something important." Officer Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. "Karen has very expensive lawyers already. She's claiming a stand-your-ground defense under state law." Stand your ground? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Against a 5-year-old child with a pink rubber ball? "Her lawyers will try anything to get her off," Officer Rodriguez admitted. "But we have multiple witnesses to what happened. Lots of witnesses. Everyone in your neighborhood gave statements to us. They all said exactly the same thing. Your daughter never left your property at all. The ball bounced maybe 6 inches onto Karen's driveway. Karen came outside with a gun already in her hand. She shot without any warning whatsoever." "What happens now?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. "Karen's been arrested and formally charged," Officer Rodriguez said, "but she made bail about an hour ago." "Bail?" I jumped up from my chair. "She shot a child and she's already free?" "Her expensive lawyers got her out," Officer Rodriguez said, looking genuinely sorry. "I'm sorry, the system isn't perfect. But trust me, Mr. Wilson, Karen Mitchell will pay for what she did. I promise you that." But would she really? Rich people with expensive lawyers always seem to find ways to win in court no matter what they'd done. The surgeon finally came out 6 hours later. His scrubs had blood on them, Emma's blood. "Mr. and Mrs. Wilson?" he called out. We ran to him, barely able to breathe. "Is she alive?" Sarah could barely get the words out. "Please tell us she's alive." "Emma is alive," the surgeon said, and I felt my knees go weak with relief. The surgery went very well, all things considered. The bullet passed completely through her shoulder, fortunately missing all major arteries. She'll need extensive physical therapy for months, but she should recover fully physically. I fell to my knees right there. "Thank God," I whispered. "Thank you, God." "Can we see her?" Sarah asked desperately. "Please, can we see our baby?" "She's in recovery right now," the surgeon said. "You can see her very soon, but I need to tell you something else that's important." The surgeon looked sad. Emma was severely traumatized by this experience. Even under anesthesia during surgery, she was crying and calling for you both. She kept saying, "I'm sorry," over and over again. The psychological damage from this might end up being worse than the physical injury in the long run. That information broke me completely. Karen hadn't just shot my daughter's body, she'd shot her innocent soul and spirit. They led us into the recovery room. Emma looked so impossibly small in that hospital bed. Tubes and wires connected her body to various machines. Her shoulder was heavily bandaged. Her face was pale as snow, but she was breathing. She was alive. Sarah and I sat on each side of her bed. We each held one of Emma's hands. "We're here, baby," Sarah whispered softly. "Mommy and Daddy are both here now. We're not going anywhere." Emma's eyes opened slowly. When she saw us, she immediately started crying. "I'm sorry, Mommy," she sobbed. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean to let my ball bounce onto that lady's driveway. I tried to catch it. I'm so sorry." "Oh, baby." Sarah was sobbing too. "You have absolutely nothing to be sorry for, nothing at all. This is not your fault in any way." "But the lady said I broke the neighborhood rules," Emma said through her tears. "The lady is wrong," I said firmly. "The lady is evil. You are perfect. You are our perfect, beautiful girl, and we love you so much." Emma cried herself to sleep eventually. Sarah and I held her all through that first night. We didn't let go of her hands. We were too afraid that if we let go, we might somehow lose her. The story hit the news the very next morning. HOA president shoots. 5-year-old over ball, the headline screamed. It went viral on social media within hours. My phone exploded with messages. Friends, family members, complete strangers. Everyone was absolutely horrified by what had happened. News reporters camped outside the hospital, wanting interviews. I gave them one brief statement. My daughter is 5 years old. She was playing with a ball, just a ball, and Karen Mitchell shot her for it. That woman deserves to rot in prison forever for what she did to an innocent child." The video of my statement went everywhere online. Millions and millions of views. People were enraged. Karen's face appeared on every news channel across the country. People found her social media accounts. She had actually posted about maintaining property values and dealing with problem neighbors just hours before she shot Emma. The Internet Detective Army went to work immediately. They found Karen's entire history. She had previous complaints from other neighborhoods. She had threatened other neighbors in the past. She had multiple guns registered to her name. People started calling her HOA Karen and much worse names online. Someone discovered that Karen was wealthy. Her family owned a successful law firm. That's why she thought she was completely above the law. But the public wouldn't let this go. Protests started outside Karen's house. People held signs. "Justice for Emma. 5-year-olds are not threats. Karen Mitchell is a monster." The HOA board held an emergency meeting. They removed Karen as president immediately. They dissolved half the board. The entire organization came under investigation. But none of that mattered to me. None of it brought back Emma's innocence. None of it erased her trauma or the nightmares she would have for years. What I haven't told you yet is what happened in those 3 minutes after Emma got shot. Those 3 minutes while I thought my daughter might die in my arms. While I was pressing towels against Emma's wound, while neighbors were calling 911, something else was happening that I learned about later. Karen was on her phone. She was calling her lawyers. She was calling her family members. She was already planning her legal defense. "I felt threatened," I heard her say calmly into her phone. "The child was destroying my property. I had every right to defend myself under state law." That's when I knew with absolute certainty that Karen felt no remorse whatsoever, no guilt. She truly believed she was completely in the right for shooting a 5-year-old child. Mr. Johnson, my elderly neighbor, approached Karen carefully. "You need to put that gun down right now," he said. "Don't tell me what to do," Karen said, pointing her gun directly at him. "Everyone in this neighborhood needs to learn some respect, learn to follow the rules." More neighbors came outside, drawn by the screaming and sirens. They formed a protective circle around Karen, keeping their distance but not letting her leave. "You shot a child," Mrs. Peterson said, her voice shaking with emotion. "A baby. How could you possibly do that?" "That baby was trespassing on my property," Karen screamed back. "Her ball came onto my property. The HOA bylaws clearly state—" "A child is bleeding on the ground," Mr. Johnson shouted, his face red. "And you're standing here talking about bylaws? What's wrong with you?" Karen's face went bright red with rage. "I warned them," she said. "I warned that family multiple times. They didn't listen to me, so I made them listen." That's when we all realized the horrible truth. Karen had actually planned this. She had been waiting and watching for any reason, any excuse to shoot someone in our family. The sirens got louder and closer. Police cars screeched to a stop at the end of our street, but they didn't come any closer right away. They blocked off the entire road because they hadn't sent regular police officers. They had called in SWAT. Karen was still holding her gun. She was waving it around dangerously. Neighbors were backing away slowly, terrified. A loud voice came through a megaphone. "This is the police. Drop your weapon immediately. Put your hands on your head." A SWAT van rolled slowly down the street. Armed officers in full tactical gear spread out around the area. They had rifles. They had shields. They completely surrounded Karen's position. Karen looked confused for the first time, like she was just now realizing she might actually be in serious trouble. "I'm a law-abiding citizen," Karen yelled toward the police. "I was defending my property. You should be arresting them, not me." "Drop the weapon now," the megaphone voice commanded. "This is not negotiable." "You don't understand," Karen screamed. I'm the HOA president. I have rights. Stand your ground laws. Castle doctrine. I was defending myself. Ma'am, this is your final warning, the voice said. Drop the weapon or we will use force. I was still holding Emma while the paramedics worked on her, but I watched what happened next with one eye. Karen raised her gun again. She pointed it in the direction of the police officers. Everything happened incredibly fast after that. Red laser dots appeared on Karen's chest, multiple targeting lasers from multiple SWAT snipers. Officers shouted commands. Karen's face showed real fear for the first time since this whole nightmare began. "Wait, wait!" Karen screamed. "I'm putting it down! I'm putting it down right now!" She dropped the gun. It clattered loudly on her concrete driveway. She raised her hands slowly into the air. SWAT officers rushed forward immediately. They tackled Karen hard to the ground. They handcuffed her roughly. She was screaming about her rights, about lawsuits, about how she had done nothing wrong. They dragged her to a police car. She was still yelling even as they pushed her into the back seat. "That child was trespassing," she screamed. "Her ball bounced onto my property. I sent them 17 violation notices. They refused to comply. I had to make them understand the rules." Officer Rodriguez walked right up to the police car window and looked Karen directly in the face. "You shot a 5-year-old child over a bouncing ball," he said with disgust. "You're done. Your life as you knew it is over." They drove Karen away in the police car. She was crying now, not tears of remorse or regret. Tears of anger. She was angry that she got caught, angry that she had to face consequences for her actions. The ambulance with Emma pulled away moments later, sirens wailing. "My baby girl is fighting for her life." Karen screamed one last time as they drove her away. "She broke the rules. The rules must be enforced." Emma stayed in the hospital for 8 full days. Each day was absolute agony for our family. She had terrible nightmares constantly. She would wake up screaming in the middle of the night. "The lady with the gun!" she would scream. "She's coming back! Make her go away!" Sarah and I took turns sleeping at the hospital in a chair beside Emma's bed. We never left her alone for even a minute. We couldn't bear the thought of her waking up without us there. Physical therapy was incredibly painful for Emma. She cried through every single session. Her shoulder hurt constantly. She couldn't lift her arm properly. "I can't draw anymore, Daddy," she sobbed one afternoon. "My arm won't work right. The mean lady broke my arm." "Your arm will heal, baby," I promised her, though my own heart was breaking. "The doctors promised it would heal." "But what if it doesn't?" Emma asked, tears streaming down her face. "What if I can't draw rainbows anymore? What if I can't make pretty pictures?" It killed me inside. My artistic little girl was genuinely worried she'd lost her ability to create the beautiful art she loved so much. A child psychologist came to see Emma. They diagnosed her with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. At just 5 years old, my baby had PTSD. She would need years and years of therapy. "She'll always remember this trauma," the psychologist told us gently. "The best we can do is help her process it in healthy ways so it doesn't destroy her life." Sarah cried every single day. She blamed herself constantly. "I should have been home," she would say. "I should have protected her better." "This is not your fault," I told her over and over. "This is Karen's fault. Only Karen's fault." But guilt doesn't listen to logic or reason. Emma refused to go outside at all. Even in the hospital, she was terrified of windows. "What if the mean lady comes back?" she would ask. "What if she has another gun?" "The lady is in jail, sweetheart," I assured her. "She can't hurt you anymore, I promise." "Promise?" she would ask, her eyes wide. "I promise," I would say. But I wasn't completely sure I was telling the truth. Rich people with expensive lawyers sometimes found ways to go free, even after doing terrible things. The prosecutor assigned to our case called me. Her name was Jennifer Hayes, and she sounded fierce and determined. Mr. Wilson, we're charging Karen Mitchell with attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, child endangerment, and illegal discharge of a firearm, she told me. Will she actually go to prison? I asked. If I have anything to do with it, she'll never see daylight again, Jennifer said. But I need you to be prepared for something. Her lawyers are very good. They'll try absolutely everything, character assassination, victim blaming, anything they can think of. They'll even claim Emma somehow provoked her. Emma is 5 years old, I said. I know that, and a jury will know that too, Jennifer said. But trials are unpredictable. I need you and your family to be strong throughout this process. Karen's expensive lawyers held a press conference. They actually painted her as a concerned citizen who was just trying to maintain community standards. They claimed she feared for her safety when Emma's ball came near her property. The media tore them apart for that disgusting defense, but it showed us exactly what we were up against. The prosecutor assigned to our case called me. Her name was Jennifer Hayes, and she sounded fierce and determined. Mr. Wilson, we're charging Karen Mitchell with attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, child endangerment, and illegal discharge of a firearm, she told me. Will she actually go to prison? I asked. If I have anything to do with it, she'll never see daylight again, Jennifer said. But I need you to be prepared for something. Her lawyers are very good. They'll try absolutely everything, character assassination, victim blaming, anything they can think of. They'll even claim Emma somehow provoked her. Emma is 5 years old, I said. I know that, and a jury will know that too, Jennifer said. But trials are unpredictable. I need you and your family to be strong throughout this process. Karen's expensive lawyers held a press conference. They actually painted her as a concerned citizen who was just trying to maintain community standards. They claimed she feared for her safety when Emma's ball came near her property. The media tore them apart for that disgusting defense, but it showed us exactly what we were up against. The preliminary hearing came 6 weeks later. Sarah, Emma, and I went to court together. Emma had to see Karen again, and she was terrified. When Emma saw Karen sitting in that courtroom, she grabbed my arm so tight her fingernails drew blood. She started hyperventilating. "That's her, Daddy," Emma gasped. "That's the mean lady who shot me." Karen looked at Emma with those same cold eyes. No remorse, no apology, no human feeling at all. Just anger that she was being held accountable. The judge set a trial date 6 months away. Karen posted her $5 million bail like it was pocket change. She went home to her house, just 2 doors down from us. We couldn't move away. All our money was going to Emma's medical bills. We were prisoners in our own home, living in fear. Karen actually got a restraining order against us. Her lawyers claimed we were harassing her. It was completely insane. Emma refused to go outside our house for anything. She spent her days inside drawing pictures with her left hand because her right shoulder still hurt too much. She drew the same picture over and over again. A little girl, a woman with a gun, and red everywhere. "Baby, can you draw something happy?" Sarah asked her once. "There's nothing happy, Mommy," Emma said quietly. "The world is scary now." 5 years old, and the light in her eyes was completely gone. I installed security cameras all around our house, extra locks on every door and window, a baseball bat beside our bed. I slept with it within reach every single night. Every car sound on our street made me jump. Every knock on the door made my heart race with fear. We were living in constant terror while Karen lived in comfort just 2 houses away from us. The neighborhood changed dramatically. Half the families moved out within months. They couldn't stand living near a place where a child had been shot. People left flowers and stuffed animals on our lawn. Notes that said, "We're sorry," and "Justice for Emma." But sorry didn't heal Emma's body. Sorry didn't stop her nightmares. 6 months later, the trial finally began. The courtroom was absolutely packed with people. Media crews filled the back rows. Protesters gathered outside holding signs demanding justice. Karen wore expensive suits every day. She looked calm and confident. Her lawyers acted like they'd already won. The prosecution called me to the witness stand first. I told the jury everything about the harassment, the threats, the shooting. Karen's lawyer tried to make me look like the villain during cross-examination. Still, the jury looked disgusted with his tactics. Sarah testified next. She broke down completely on the stand. "That monster shot my baby," she sobbed. "My innocent baby girl who was just playing." Then came the hardest part. Emma had to testify. She was 7 years old now. 2 years had passed, but she was still in therapy, afraid of the world. The judge was incredibly gentle with her. "Emma, can you tell us what happened that day?" he asked softly. Emma's voice was so quiet that everyone had to lean forward to hear. "I was playing with my ball," she said. "It bounced away from me. The mean lady came outside with a gun in her hand. I said sorry to her, but she shot me anyway. It hurt so much. I thought I was going to die." "Did you step onto her property?" the judge asked. "No," Emma said. "The ball did, but I didn't. I was trying to catch it before it bounced again." "What did you do after your ball bounced?" "I said sorry," Emma whispered. "I said sorry so many times. But she shot me anyway." There wasn't a dry eye in that entire courtroom, except for Karen's. She looked completely bored. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage from 3 different houses, 17 witnesses, the bullet trajectory analysis, everything proved Karen shot Emma without any provocation whatsoever. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. "On the count of attempted murder, how do you find the defendant?" the judge asked. "Guilty," the jury foreman said. Sarah started crying, tears of relief. I hugged Emma tight against my chest. "On the count of assault with a deadly weapon, guilty. On the count of child endangerment, guilty. Every single count, guilty, guilty, guilty." Karen's face went white. Her expensive lawyers looked shocked. She started screaming, "This is wrong. That brat deserved it. She broke the rules." Even then, even after being convicted, she showed absolutely no remorse. The judge slammed his gavel. "Ms. Mitchell, you are remanded into custody until sentencing. Bailiff, remove her from my courtroom." They dragged Karen away in handcuffs. She was screaming about appeals, about injustice, about rules and property values. But she was going to prison. Finally. 2 months later, we returned for sentencing. The judge looked at Karen with pure disgust. "Miss Mitchell, I've been a judge for 30 years, he said. "I've seen many criminals walk through this courtroom, but I've rarely seen someone as completely remorseless as you. You shot a 5-year-old child over a bouncing ball and you feel no regret whatsoever. You still believe you were right." "I was right," Karen shouted. "Property values, rules, order." The judge shook his head sadly. "You destroyed a child's innocence. You traumatized an entire family. You terrorized a neighborhood, and you feel completely justified." "I am justified," Karen screamed. "The law allows me to sentence you to 25 years to life," the judge said. "I'm going to use that full discretion. Karen Mitchell, I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. "No!" Karen screamed. "I have rights. I have money. I have lawyers." "You have a cell waiting for you," the judge said coldly. "Get her out of my courtroom." They dragged her away. She was still screaming, still claiming she was innocent. But she would spend the rest of her life in prison. She was 67 years old. She would die there. It has been 3 years since that terrible day. Emma is 8 years old now. She still has nightmares sometimes. She still sees a therapist twice a week. She still has a scar on her shoulder that will never completely go away. But she's smiling again. Not as much as before, but she's genuinely trying. She draws again. Beautiful pictures full of rainbows and families and love. She still doesn't like going outside alone, but she's getting braver every single day. Last week, Emma rode her bike in our driveway for the first time in 3 years. Sarah and I watched from the window with tears streaming down our faces. "Look, Mommy! Look, Daddy!" she called out. I'm riding my bike. We see you, baby, I called back. You're doing amazing. She fell off once and looked scared, but then she got back on and kept trying. Our brave girl, our survivor. We sold that house and moved far away to a place with no HOA, no Karens, no terrible memories. Emma started 3rd grade at a new school. She made friends. She laughed again. The physical wound healed. The emotional wound is healing slowly, but it is healing. We sued the HOA and Karen's estate. We won millions of dollars, enough to pay for Emma's therapy for life, enough to secure her future. But money doesn't erase trauma. Money doesn't give Emma back her stolen innocence. Last week, Emma wrote a letter in school that made me cry. My name is Emma. I am 8 years old. When I was 5, a bad lady shot me because my ball bounced. I almost died. I was so scared. But I'm still here. I'm still alive. The bad lady is in jail now. She can't hurt anyone anymore. I want other kids to know something important. If someone is mean to you, tell your parents. If someone scares you, run away. If someone hurts you, it is never your fault. I thought it was my fault. But my mommy and daddy told me the truth. It was never my fault. Bad people exist in the world, but good people exist too. More good people than bad. If you're hurting, you can be okay too. Just hold on. Tell someone. Ask for help. Love. Emma. Sarah and I read that letter together and cried. Our baby girl, our survivor, our hero. She lost her innocence at 5 years old, but she found her strength at 8. Karen Mitchell took so much from us, but she didn't take everything. She didn't break Emma's spirit. She didn't destroy our family. We are still here. We are still fighting. We are still healing. And Emma is still drawing rainbows. If you or someone you know is being harassed or threatened, please speak up. Report it. Document everything. Protect yourself and your family. No rule, no bylaw, no standard is worth a child's life. And if you are a survivor of violence, please know it was never your fault. You are brave. You are strong. You are enough. Hold on. Speak up. There are more good people in the world than bad. We will protect you. We will believe you. We will fight for you. You are not alone. Thank you for watching Emma's story. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone who needs to hear this message of hope and survival. God bless you all.